There are 3.5 million box trucks registered in the United States right now. They're in every parking lot, every loading dock, every strip mall in America. White, anonymous, completely invisible. You've walked past dozens of them this week alone and never once wondered what was inside. That's not an accident. That's just how invisible this vehicle class has become. And that invisibility is about to become the most useful financial fact you've heard this year. Here's what this video is actually about. The box truck is the cheapest way left to live on the road, and nobody in the housing or vehicle industry has any incentive to tell you that. No manufacturer is marketing it. No lifestyle brand is selling the dream. It just sits there, overlooked, while van conversions hit $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. What we're doing today is the math nobody does. Real prices, real costs, real mistakes to avoid. Not a fantasy, a calculation. Let's talk numbers because this is where everything changes. The median rent in the United States in 2024 sits at $1,987 a month. A 16-foot box truck in good condition costs between $3,500 and $8,000. A basic functional conversion runs about $1,930. Total entry cost, roughly $8,500. 4.3 months of median rent. Meanwhile, the median American apartment costs $28,000 to $32,000 a year with utilities. Box truck living, fully costed, vehicle, insurance, fuel, parking, runs $8,000 to $14,000. The annual saving, $14,000 to $20,000. Let that sit for a second. If that math just hit you the way it hit me the first time I saw it, hit the like button. It costs you nothing, and it helps more people find this before they sign another lease they can't afford and spend years wondering where all their money went. Now, let's kill the Sprinter van myth. A purpose-built conversion runs $40,000 to $80,000. But even setting price aside, the box truck wins on 3 technical metrics. First, thermal insulation. A cargo van's sheet metal gives you R1 to R2. A dry box truck comes with factory foam at R6 to R8, confirmed by Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Second, standing height. Vans top out between 4'6" and 5'4" inside. A 16-foot box truck gives you 6'2" to 6'6". You actually stand and move. Third, solar capacity. A Sprinter roof gives you 35 to 45 square feet. A box truck gives you 96 to 120, enough for 3,000 watts. The van isn't the smarter choice. It's the marketed choice. Here's one the community figured out quietly and almost nobody outside it talks about. Refrigerated box trucks with broken compressor units sell at a discount because buyers assume the repair costs $3,000 to $8,000. But if you're converting to live-in, you don't need the compressor. You remove it, reduce the vehicle's weight, and what you're left with is a factory-insulated shell with R16 to R24 in the walls and ceiling, comparable to a well-insulated tiny home. The broken compressor is not a liability. It's a discount on the most expensive part of any build, insulation that's already installed. So where do you actually find these trucks? 4 platforms worth knowing. Copart and IAAI are U.S. insurance auction sites where box trucks appear regularly. You may need a licensed broker in some states, with fees between $150 and $300. GovPlanet lists government surplus vehicles with full maintenance records, often 20 to 40% below market. Facebook Marketplace is where private sellers land. No auction fees. eBay Motors is useful mainly for price comparison. In the UK, Auto Trader's commercial section, eBay Motors UK, and Mannheim Auctions. 3 mechanical checks separate a functional truck from an expensive mistake. First, frame rust. Get under the truck with a flashlight and inspect the rails beneath the cab. Surface rust is cosmetic. Penetrating rust around the mounts and structural supports is a rejection criterion. Walk away. Second, DPF status. Any diesel built after 2007 has a particulate filter. A clogged or deleted DPF costs $1,500 to $4,000 and fails emissions testing. In the UK, it's an automatic MOT failure. Third, exhaust at cold start. Blue smoke means oil burning. Persistent white smoke points to a coolant problem. Black smoke indicates a rich fuel mixture. Always ask for maintenance records. In the U.S., any vehicle over 26,001 ELBS GVWR requires a CDL. Most 16-foot trucks sit well under that, but 24 to 26-foot trucks can get close. The number is on the door placard inside the driver's door. Check it before you commit. Drive a CDL-required truck without one and you're looking at license suspension, fines up to $5,000, and possible impoundment. In the UK, anything above 3,500 kilos requires a Category C1 license. Driving without it means an unlimited fine and 3 to 6 penalty points. Here's what a functional conversion actually costs. Rigid XPS foam insulation at 2 inches runs about $400. Spray foam sealant adds another $80. Plywood for walls, floor, and the bed platform brings you to $350. The electrical system, a 100 amp-hour lithium battery, a 200-watt solar panel, and a charge controller, sits around $700. LED lighting adds $50. A mattress $200. A basic cooking setup $150. Total, approximately $1,930 in the U.S. or around £1,545 in the U.K. This is not a luxury build. It's a functional, livable space. Insulated, powered, sleeping, cooking. Everything above this is personal preference. If you're watching this and doing the math in your head right now, subscribe. I cover this kind of thing every week, and the next video might be the one that changes your situation. Most U.S. municipalities operate under a 72-hour rule. Any vehicle can park on a public street before it needs to move. Box trucks are indistinguishable from a delivery vehicle that finished a late shift, which helps. Walmart has historically tolerated overnight parking, though it varies by store. Casino lots are reliable, and Cracker Barrel explicitly welcomes it. In the UK, motorway service areas allow 24-hour stays, and Forestry England car parks are usable where signage permits. None of this is perfect, but the solutions are concrete and they exist. Here's the question nobody asks until they've already bought the truck. What's your legal address? You need one for your driving license, bank account, and, in the U.S., voting registration. South Dakota, Texas, and Florida offer mail forwarding services built for nomadic residents. America's Mailbox and Escapees Mail Service provide a legal domicile for $100 to $200 a year. In the UK Postbox and Anytime Mailbox offer valid addresses from around £10 a month. The banking catch-22 is real. Keep a family member's address for bank correspondence. Use forwarding for everything else. Traveling nurses whose temporary housing consumed 40 to 60% of their income started converting box trucks as a direct financial response. Remote workers run Starlink Mini, $599 hardware, $150 a month, from national forest parking areas. HUD counted 35,000 homeless veterans using vehicle dwelling as a transitional step in January 2023. Amazon delivery drivers living in the same trucks they drive was documented by The Guardian in 2021. These aren't edge cases. These are rational decisions made by people who did the math. The seasonal model fits box truck life better than almost anything else. Go where the work is, when the work is there. Alaska fishing runs May through September. Park concessions cover the summer. Ski resorts fill November through April. Harvest labor follows the calendar across states. Coolworks, based in Bozeman, Montana, flags roles that include vehicle parking or accommodation. WorkAmper News, published since 1987, documents the network of people working campgrounds and park positions in exchange for a parking space. For remote work, the Starlink Mini eliminates the dependency on fixed Wi-Fi entirely. This is the section that isn't optional. Box trucks are sealed environments. That's one of their advantages for insulation and stealth. It's also a deadly liability if you don't manage it. Propane cooking produces carbon monoxide. Gasoline generators produce carbon monoxide. There are documented fatalities in the vehicle-dwelling community every year from CO poisoning, recorded in NFPA reports and coroner records. A dual CO and propane detector costs around $30. That's not a nice to have. It goes in before the mattress, before anything else. Beyond the detector, any combustion appliance requires a minimum of 2 ventilation openings, intake low, exhaust high. It is non-negotiable to survival. Treat it accordingly. There's a pattern that shows up constantly in the box truck and van dwelling communities, on YouTube, on Reddit, in our van dwellers and our box truck. Someone gets excited, spends $8,000 to $15,000 on an elaborate conversion with custom cabinetry, a wet bath, a built-in diesel heater. Then they actually live in it and discover that half of what they built doesn't match how they use the space. The consistent recommendation from people who learned the hard way: do a rough cut first. Insulation, a bed, one light, $500. Live in it 30 days, then invest more based on what you actually learned. The stealth advantage of a box truck is real, but it has an expiration date in certain cities. Los Angeles passed an ordinance in 2020 targeting oversized vehicles in residential areas. Seattle, San Francisco, and Denver have moved in similar directions. The legal landscape shifts with local politics, and it tends to shift in one direction. The resilient approach the community has documented combines urban parking when it works, established campgrounds and RV parks when it doesn't. Monthly rates run $400 to $800. Rural land and work camper style arrangements. Stealth is a tool. It's not a plan. Here's the part that takes a second to fully land. The economic forces that made housing unaffordable, the gig economy, the delivery boom, the Amazon fulfillment machine, those same forces created 3.5 million of the exact vehicles that offer the most practical exit from that unaffordability. The box truck is simultaneously a product of the broken economy and one of its quietest emergency exits. Too common to generate a brand. Nobody in the housing industry wants you to run this calculation, and yet here it sits in every parking lot in America, hiding in plain sight. So here's where we land: around $8,500 to get in, $14,000 to $20,000 saved every year compared to median rent, a vehicle nobody looks at twice, a life that doesn't ask permission to start. It's not for everyone, but for the person losing the rent race who has done the math and found it doesn't add up, this is the most honest calculation available. You've probably driven past one of these trucks today, looked right at it and saw nothing. The question is whether that changes after today. If this made you see that parking lot differently, like this video, it takes 2 seconds and it helps more people find this before they sign a lease they'll regret. Subscribe if you want to keep finding the options nobody's selling you. See you in the next one.